Good morning, friends. It is 5:24 a.m. and that means we are about to get started. And we are about to get started with our morning routine. Let's see if everything's working, and then we are going to start this conversation. And it looks like everything is working. Ooh, I slept well last night. It's been a busy weekend. Maybe I slept so well because of the stream from the forest yesterday morning. If you were there, totally worth the time I spent there. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. It's yesterday's stream number 458, and we can discuss, in which we discuss or reflect on life and the four aspects of life that I'm mindful of: my health, my relationships, my finances, my pursuits. And we have some conversation to have there. But for those of you who are watching, good morning. My name is Toby. I am 41 years old, and I train to live an active, self-sufficient, and adventurous life. I do so by minding my sleep. I try to sleep between 7 and 9 hours in a night. I do so by minding what I eat. I try to eat within my energy balance, which is around 21, 2200 calories. I try to eat a lot of vegetables and greens, not because I'm a vegan or a vegetarian, but because I think that there's a lot of goodness in greens and vegetables that we should just general be consuming. It's one of the things that I try to optimize for, and I try to take in sufficient protein for my longevity and for my strength and muscle building goals. And we'll have a bit of a conversation about that at a later time, because I am reevaluating how much muscle I actually am, or how much protein I actually am going to be eating in order to stay fit and healthy. Sorry, there was a little bit of a kitchen step, a small kitchen step standing there, and I don't want to bang my shin against it while we're talking. Hey there, so that's what's on my mind. Last night I slept around 8.5 hours according to my watch. It thinks I fell asleep at 8:30. I think I may have fallen asleep a little bit later, but it still pushed me well beyond the 8-hour mark, for which I am very grateful and very happy. So today I probably will feel well rested, and sleep is a good foundation for health and fitness, right? This is about the way I feel, not about the way I look. I would like to feel fit, capable, competent for whatever life throws at me, and life can throw a lot at us, that's for sure. I think it's also important to restate, why am I doing this? I'm doing this for two main reasons. I'm going to get older, barring any tragedy, right? There are always risks. There are no guarantees in life. Disaster could strike. But generally, I could expect to see my 80th, maybe even 85th birthday. And that's good news, because that means that we get a lot more of life. The bad news is that with that increase of life, you also see that there is a deterioration of the quality of life, that there is more discomfort, that there's more disease, and in large part that could be prevented through lifestyle choices. There are certain diseases, there are certain dependencies that we could maybe mitigate through the lifestyle choices we make in our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, should we reach 80s. You could technically become 100 and be relatively fit. It's been done. There are people who do it. It's not a fable. It's not a legend. It's not a myth. It's not a miracle. There is knowledge about how to age healthily and stay fit and strong and capable throughout your life, and maybe even postpone the onset of certain diseases for as long as you can. So just keep that in mind. The second reason is that I've got two small children. They're growing up. They're growing up fast or too fast. Spent some time yesterday also crawling after them all across different playgrounds. Crawling, climbing, running, all across different playgrounds. They had such a good time. We had such a good time. But I want to be able to keep up that level of physical activity throughout life. I'm on my way to 50. I would like to be as fit at 50 as I am today at 41. And I would like to set a good example. I would like to be a good role model. I would like to show them what is possible in life when you are an adult and when you are healthy and fit and active, and what that means for you as you age. All right. I have one goal every day, and that one goal is to show up for 30 minutes. Right now with the walking, it's a bit more, it's 60 minutes, and I'll tell you why I'm specifically walking at the moment, but it's 30 minutes of exercise in the morning. That's what I'm after at a bare minimum. That could be strength training, that could be conditioning training, that could be strength conditioning training, that could be mobility. Those are the training modalities that I try to complete in different ways. So usually I would do a light kettlebell on Monday, mobility on Tuesday, a heavy kettlebell on Wednesday, mobility on Thursday, a medium kettlebell on Friday, mobility on Saturday, and go for a run on Sunday mornings. And I had started to add in sprints on Wednesday mornings, but sadly I recently injured my back. I know, right? Them kettlebells. Oh, it could have happened with any other lift the way I lifted the weight that day. I simply was not paying proper attention. And what happened was that I pulled the weight up without bracing my core, without hinging properly. I was trying to clean a 20 kilo kettlebell into rack position, and I pulled it through my back, and since I was holding it with the left hand, obviously the right part of my back bore the brunt of that assault, and that was just a terrible mistake on my end. But nothing to be done about it. It is almost 2 weeks ago now. I've almost completely recovered. There's still a slight little discomfort in my back once in a while. We're going to take our time to let that heal completely. And hopefully around this week, we're going to find out if it is possible to put some load back on there are some, how should I put this? Where was I? Got a bit distracted there by the chat there. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So I hurt my back lifting the kettlebell. Bad mistake. Back's recovering. We're going to take our time to fully recover. We're not in a rush. We're just going to make sure that we get back to 100% of health, stability, of no pain in the back, and then we're going to start to increase load, even though we might start to increase the load slowly over time with the permission of the physiotherapist. Oh my God, the chat is full of interesting people this morning. In any case, so I also try to spend time with people I love and care about, do things that I enjoy, and generally try to live a stress-free life. And I think when it comes to health and fitness, we're often quite focused on physical health, right? So we focus on sports, we focus on nutrition, but we tend to forget that actually relationships are an important part of how healthy and fit we are, and our contributions to community and the meaning we might derive from life. So I think it's important to keep that in mind as we talk about health and fitness, that we want to manage the full outcome, the full package, right? We want to talk about sleep, we want to talk about nutrition, we want to talk about movement, we want to talk about our relationships, we want to talk about our finances. And there are many different aspects of life that we want to be aware of, and that we want to invest time and energy in. And that's why I say, well, I show up for exercise 30 minutes in the day. Boy. That you because there's 23 and a half other hours in the day that need to be filled with a lot of other things to give life meaning and to live a happy, fulfilled, active and adventurous life. I think in some ways exercise or training is a bit of a surrogate for an active lifestyle. The sad part about this is that we will not be able to make up for the lack of activity, the lack of movement in our lifestyle with 30 to 60 minutes of exercise in a day, all right? Every nation will have their own minimum movement guidelines, which is quite incredible, but those minimum guidelines are the bare minimum. And if you're already out of shape and let's see, by the same logic, right? If you're already out of shape and you are how should I put it, trying to get in shape by using those minimum movement guidelines, it's not going to work, because the effort you need to put in is outsized by compared to where you are when you're healthy. And when you are fit and healthy and you look at those minimum guidelines, you think, well, it is when you are fit and healthy and you're trying to stick to those minimum guidelines, you think, well, this is actually too little. I'm not going to stay in the shape I am if I stick to this minimum. effort that the government is advising me to do. So there's this balance there. It's not necessarily bad, like moving those for that minimum amount of time is absolutely possible, but you also want to be aware that depending on where you are in your health and fitness journey, you might need to do more or less and different things than the bare minimum of simply movement. But movement is an important part of staying fit and healthy. And Adam, thanks for dropping by. I hope you're doing well where you are in the world, and I hope life is treating you well and that you're having a good end of the weekend, Sunday, or start of the week on Monday morning, wherever you are. So anyway, we're going to talk about weight loss and lean mass for a little bit. I appreciate that, Adam. Thanks for dropping by. We're going to talk about weight loss and lean mass, and we're going to try to understand a little bit what happens when we decide we want to lose weight. And I think it's important to call out and to keep in mind the following. When we talk about losing weight and staying healthy, so we've talked about this for the last week, right? Despite being slightly overweight, you can have good health markers. You can be overweight, be active, and have a healthy body overall and be in good fitness and good shape. There are certain challenges that come with carrying excess weight, but in essence, some of the excess weight is not necessarily the problem. What is maybe more likely the problem is excess weight and lack of movement, right? So sedentary life, and then continuous increase of weight or expanding waist circumference. Okay, so just keep that in mind, that there's not inherently anything really wrong with having a few extra kilos on your body if that's something you are concerned about. That being said, there are certain indications. For example, if the weight keeps increasing, if your waist circumference keeps growing, or your BMI keeps increasing, and you are not active, you do not exercise, you do not live an active life, your health markers might change, but you need to look into those specific health markers with a health professional to understand that. So when we talk about weight loss, there are many different modalities to weight loss, right? It could be health related, it could be for your looks, it could just happen because of the way you are eating. You could be losing weight for a variety of reasons. But generally we're talking about the decrease of fat mass and lean body mass. I know when we generally talk about weight loss, we would like to believe that we're only burning fat, but the truth is that if 20% of your body is lean muscle mass, when you start losing weight, you're probably going to lose, it's going to come up to 18 or 17 or 16% over the course of your weight loss journey, together with the reduction in fat mass. This is just a fact of life, a fact of weight loss. Now, you can introduce resistance training to help mitigate the loss of lean mass during fat loss, or when we're trying to recomposition the body in terms of how much fat mass versus lean mass there is. But that would require a specific stimulus, specific diet, and even then you will just see a slight reduction in the lean mass you're carrying. There's nothing wrong with it, but we just need to be aware of it. Because the body does something very interesting. We might actually want to hang on to a proportion of lean mass because lean mass is very useful. More muscle, more strength is very useful. So when we are done with our weight reduction, we might subconsciously or unknown to ourselves want to actually increase the calorie intake, our body that is, to regain some of that lean mass. Because what is the relationship between body weight and lean mass? Well, the heavier we are, the more lean mass we require to keep our body functioning right. It takes more muscle to move heavier weight around. The problem is that there's a disproportionate relationship between the amount of calories we need to consume to put on lean mass, which means that we start to develop an excess of soft mass and soft tissue as well on that journey. Stevie Griffin, thanks for dropping by, saying hi. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're having a good start or end of the day wherever you're at. It's Monday morning, and it's a good morning where I'm at in the world, and I hope you have the same good day as well. So the other thing we need to finally someone that I know. Good morning, thanks for coming by, Poor Man Sim. I hope you're doing well, and I hope life is treating you well. I had like a whole bunch of trolls drop by in the first 5 minutes of the stream, which I guess happens sometimes. Probably depends on the topic and the hashtags that I put in. Anyway, I hope you're doing well, and I hope you, yeah, indeed. I hope you had a good weekend. How was your weekend? And that the workouts are going well. Keep seeing them pop up in my feed, and just watch a few minutes. It looks like you're getting super fit, and you're really keeping up the work. It's impressive and inspiring. So do keep going if you can. So as we get older, we also need to realize that we've talked about deterioration being inevitable, that lean mass is going to decrease, right? And again, we can counteract this through resistance training and of course through our meal compositions, but it is a fact of life that over the course of life, lean mass is going to be slowly replaced or decrease, and if we're not careful, we might increase our body mass with soft tissue in that process as well. All right. So when we are trying to lose weight and maintain or build muscle, it's not necessarily we're not talking about bodybuilding or aesthetics here, right? We're talking about general health and fitness. It is important to realize that when we're trying to lose weight, soft tissue, we're automatically going to start losing some lean mass, some muscle mass. We want to have strategies in place to maintain and increase muscle mass over time, both during the weight loss, but specifically after or before. And then we want to have strategies in place to maintain lean mass over time when the weight loss journey is over. We've spoken about why this is important. When we grow older, I just said it as well, right? Lean mass, muscle mass will start to decrease. Already my age, I am fighting an uphill battle because my muscle mass is decreasing naturally over time. My hormonal balance is changing. I'm 41. I need to work harder to maintain and build the muscle mass that I want and need to stay strong and fit in life. It's very doable, but we need to be mindful of it in terms of how we eat and how we exercise and how we move and how we manage our weight overall. So that's the point I want to make this morning, and I hope that is sticky, and I hope that was clear. I hope we understand that there's a relationship between losing weight, losing fat mass, losing muscle mass, that there are ways for us to balance that out and to hang on to that lean mass or to increase that lean mass over time. But that does require some thinking through and strategy before we actually get started on that journey. Really good, man. Thank you. Yeah. My weekend was great. Changed the way I've been lifting, and it's made a big difference. So I'd like to hear about how you've changed the way you've been lifting. That would be interesting to hear about. What have you started to do differently? My weekend was great. I actually did a live stream inspired partially by you as well. I went out for a walk in the forest, and at dawn I actually streamed yesterday. which was just a great ambience to be in. It was really peaceful and quiet. We even had a deer that dropped by for the stream, which was great. And the weekend itself was just fantastic. It's fantastic weather here, so I have nothing to complain about. And I think it's going to be fantastic weather for the foreseeable future. So, YouTube Punk, good morning. Good to see you. You missed the troll storm this morning. But you can see in the chat log that I was quite busy managing the chat. But look, here we are. Everything's back to normal again. I hope everything's well in Texas. I've been watching a while. Mike Mentzer's old videos into the alien lift and his technique. He's super slow, focusing on the negative. Oh, yeah. I think, you know, setting the weight down slowly and doing slow reps is a tremendously intense, fun, and good way to structure our training. That's really cool. And you're doing a lot more, or I saw quite a lot of weights in a couple of the videos as well, right? I've gone from where you've added that on top of the body weight and the strength conditioning training that you were doing. I think that's what it looks like to me. And that's really cool. And YouTube Punk, I hope you've had a good weekend and that your week is starting well. It's 5:51 a.m. And I was actually about to wrap up the stream. Well, I don't think that's a good question. I don't think it matters for things like squats and floor presses and overhead presses and deadlifts, right? But I don't think you can do swings slowly or snatches slowly because we're working on power and explosiveness there rather than building muscle and strength. So that would be my thought on that, is that the speed of the exercise with any weight you're holding, if you do it slower, you're probably going to get a lot of benefit out of that. Making strength gains, got 16 pulls. Ooh, whoa, okay. 500 pounds, is that right? That's not in kilos. That sounds like you're pulling a lot of weight, and that's impressive. Good for you. Great progress. I will. Mike Mentzers. I think I've seen that name drop by once in a while. I'll look into that. And thanks for the tip. Yeah, isn't it? I think it's great work and great effort on your end. And YouTube Punk, how has your workouts been going? Hope been going well. Why don't you let me know while I wrap up the stream? For anyone who's watching, we talked about weight loss, lean mass today. My name is Toby. I'm 41 years old, and I'm training to live an active, self-sufficient, and adventurous life. I do so by minding my sleep. I try to get between 7 and 9 hours in a night. Minding what I eat. I try to eat within my energy balance to maintain steady weight. I try to eat lots of greens and vegetables, and I try to hit my protein goal for my strength and muscle growth goals. I also show up for strength training, strength conditioning training, endurance training, mobility training, trying to spend time with people I love and care about, do things that I enjoy, and generally try to live a stress-free life. This is about the way I feel, not about the way I look. I would like to feel fit, capable, and competent, whatever life throws at me. This is a lifelong commitment to health and fitness. I would like to stay as fit and healthy for as long as I possibly can by making certain lifestyle choices and being consistent in them. The main goal for me is to show up for 30 minutes and do some work every day, and on top of that, to live an active lifestyle that includes walking, going up and down stairs, moving around, and definitely not sitting for 10 hours a day, if at all possible and avoidable. yes, I think with heavy lifting, recovery becomes more important, as does nutrition. There we go. Well, see, you had a hard workout, taking a rest day, and then you can get back at it tomorrow or the day after, right? But that's the spirit. I've got to be off. Remember, we're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. And the only way to get anything done is by showing up and doing the work. So I will see you tomorrow, friends. And Poor Man's Gym, Future Punk, I really appreciate both of you dropping by, and I appreciate both of you in general. Just remember that. And for anyone else watching, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.